Cristiano Ronaldo is 37 years old, yet he runs like this, jumps like this, and looks like this. These are not things your average person can do, let alone your average 37-year-old. His body does not seem to reflect his age at all. We like to joke about celebrities not aging, but in reality, there's some truth to this, because when Ronaldo had his body tested for what his age was, the results showed that he was only 23. On the other hand, you got Jimbo, who's actually 23. Now Jim spends all his days partying and staying up late and eating anything that looks unhealthy. He doesn't exercise and spends all his time on the couch. When his friends tell him that his lifestyle is unsustainable, he simply responds with, "It's okay guys, I'm only 23, we're not young forever." And my god, is this true. See, while Jim is only 23, his lifestyle caused his body to age faster. So in reality, his body acts like that of a 30-year-old. So even though he thinks he's young and invincible, he's actually a lot older than he thinks he is. Wait, you're telling me that I'm 30? How the hell are you able to? No wonder my hangovers are so bad. Hold on a second. To answer your question, yes and no. You've been alive for 23 years. That's your chronological age. It represents how long you've been alive. But your biological age is a little different. This is supposed to represent your health. More specifically, it's meant to determine at what point in your life you'll begin to have chronic conditions that people exhibit towards the end of their lives. Basically, it's meant to determine how fast you're aging. Aging has traditionally been thought to be caused by damage in our DNA. As our cells deal with more stresses as life goes on, our DNA gets increasingly more damaged. And while this remains true to some degree, aging seems to be more linked to our epigenome, which is how our DNA gets expressed. See, every cell in your body has the same genome. Your brain cells have the same DNA as your muscle cells, and yet they look and function completely differently. And this is because they only express selective sections of your genome. Your cells are able to do this by packing your DNA in proteins called histones. When your cells need repairing, these histones are separated to access the DNA. These proteins are able to recognize the sections of histones based on markers called methyl groups. And once the DNA is expressed and no longer needed, the histones are repackaged and the DNA methyl groups are reinforced. While your cells are really good at placing these methyl groups back to where they should be, they occasionally make a mistake which causes the methyl groups to be added back in slightly different locations. This is actually how scientists calculate someone's biological age. They scan the amount of built-up misplaced DNA methyl groups. The higher the number, the older someone is biologically. And this makes sense because the more you damage your body, the more your body will need to access the DNA to repair it, causing more DNA methylation. Oh man, so I'm gonna die 10 years before I'm supposed to? Jeez, this guy. Worry not, my friend. This does not need to be the case. Just as Ronaldo was able to youthen his body with the healthy lifestyle, you can do the same. Our bodies have special genes that can repair our epigenomes in ways that regular proteins don't. And these are known as longevity genes, simply because they help keep us young and healthy. That being said, it turns out that these longevity genes are only activated when your body is under lethal stress. And that's because the purpose of these genes is to keep you alive in deadly situations. Now obviously, you don't want to put yourself in harm's way, but there are some unorthodox methods to hack this part of our genome and express these longevity genes without being in deadly situations. And doing so can allow us to youthen our bodies and reduce our biological age. Okay, so what are these methods? Your body will begin to express these genes when you're in extreme temperatures. So this can mean taking cold showers or sitting in hot saunas or doing hot yoga. But sadly, hot showers may not be a viable option because of how it damages your skin. Now I could make a whole video on the benefits of fasting, but long story short, the less you eat, the longer you live. In fact, this is true for all animals. Whether it's a mouse or a dog, when given 30% less food in its life, it lives 30% longer. Of course, you always want to prioritize getting your proper nutrition first. Now this one's a little tough for people like you and I to do since it requires an oxygen deprivation chamber, and these things cost up to $1 million, but hey, if you're ever at LeBron's house for Taco Tuesday and see one of these, you might want to sneak in for a bit. There's a reason this man is beating time. That being said, going on high altitude hikes is a great way to get the same effect. Getting your heart rate up to 85 to 90% can trick your body into thinking you're running from like a bear or something, and doing so will promote these longevity genes. So when you work out, you might want to try incorporating some sprints into your routine to get this effect. Of course, prevention is better than cure, so here are some ways you can try to protect your genome from being damaged in the first place. First, avoid UV light. Put on sunscreen whenever you go outside, and just avoid carcinogens in general. Another way is through mindset. Now this one's the most fascinating. A study from 1981 had 8 men in their 70s live like they were 22 years younger. They set this up by placing them in a living space that resembled homes in the 50s. The decor was retro, they had older radios, they had black and white television, etc. and they were told to act like they were truly living in that time period. They talked about historic events as if it were the present, and they generally acted like they were 22 years younger. Now, on the other hand, there was a control group that was set up that lived in similar conditions, except they acted like it was 1981. And what's crazy is that the experimental group had significant improvements in physical strength, movement, posture, memory, hearing, and vision. So this proved that people can reduce their biological age simply by thinking about it. So I can become young just by thinking about it? You're not going to unclog your arteries from that Big Mac you just downed simply by thinking about it. This is more of a supplement you can add to a healthy lifestyle. Aw, man. Lastly, you want to keep moving. And this is different from exercise. Staying still for long periods of time can be detrimental to your body. So you should get up every hour or so and do some kind of light activity for 5 minutes. Whether that's just taking a walk around your room or doing some jumping jacks, maybe some push-ups, as long as you're not sitting on the couch for 8 hours straight. All in all, there are plenty of ways to stay healthy and keep your body young. So hey, if you feel bad about turning 30, you can still train your body to be 26. Hike a mountain. Eat healthy. Turn back time. I'll see you guys in the next one.